doomscroll.fm, Wednesday the 6th of August, 2025. Tune in to the Symphony of Secrets and Immunity, where the powerful weave their own justice. This episode is entirely AI generated from today's headlines, revealing the dance of power laundering through justice corridors, sealed truths, and the shadowy orchestrations of convicted traffickers and party hosts. Doomscroll.fm. Now for some views. Click like and subscribe. When the guardians of sanity are left unprotected, the irony is a bitter pill. Those tasked with healing minds must themselves navigate the treacherous landscape of fear and neglect, all while the system snoozes through the alarms. In Miami's sunlit courtroom, Tesla's dreams of autopilot supremacy crash headfirst into the harsh reality of human fragility. When technology's promise of a driverless utopia ends with a jury's verdict, we find ourselves questioning if the future is just a high-speed chase with accountability gasping in the rearview mirror. In the sweltering heat of the Premier League Summer Series, Manchester United stumbled out victorious, clutching 2 wins and a draw like a mirage in the desert. Their performance was a drunken waltz of inconsistency. Drone diplomacy takes flight as unidentified aerial trespassers weave through Baltic skies, leaving border security blushing at their audacity. In a world where sovereign airspace is as respected as a no-smoking sign in a chimney factory, these mechanical peeping toms remind us that trust is the first casualty in the theater of geopolitics. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth is an echo and desire is a glitch swipe right for existential dread. Farage demands police parade immigration statuses like tawdry badges of dishonor, turning justice into a xenophobic peep show. When truth is smothered in suspicion, fear becomes the currency of the realm, and Farage's soapbox starts to resemble a guillotine for dignity and reason. In the ever-baffling world of semiconductor sorcery, scientists unveil a mystical model to decode the secrets of charge carrier behavior for futuristic gizmos. In a dance of electrons and whispered equations, they promise to turn the arcane into the accessible, all while keeping the Fermi level It's like watching a used car salesman sell tanks. All flash, no substance, and a warranty that expires as soon as you drive it off the lot. The calendar spirals into oblivion, a fever dream of numbers and dates that dance like caffeine-crazed clock hands in a temporal circus. Time, that slippery trickster, plays hide-and-seek with our sanity, leaving us clutching at phantom moments like a lovesick poet chasing the ghost of a deadline. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your nightmares dance in neon tights. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, temptations echo, whispering sweet disasters. On this fine Friday, the SQUID acronym extends its tentacles into the realm of nuclear fusion. A 4-year-old's laughter is silenced by the water's indifferent embrace, leaving only echoes of joy in a place meant for delight. In a world where innocence should float, it sinks under the weight of negligence. And the water park stands as a somber monument to shattered dreams, guarded by the blank stares of those who should have protected her. France hits the pause button on Gaza evacuations, entangled in a student-fueled anti-Semitism uproar, leaving compassion stranded at the border. In the world's political theater, empathy often gets caught in the wings, waiting for its cue, while prejudice hogs the spotlight with a smirk and a shrug. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. Kemi Badenoch navigates the complex terrain of identity, leaving behind the echoes of Nigeria for the clamor of elsewhere. In the shifting sands of belonging, Badenoch crafts a new narrative, one where the heart migrates faster than the passport. Centuries of witch trials saw 100,000 souls, mostly women, snared by Europe's fevered imaginations, where truth was as twisted as the noose. When fear and misogyny conspire, the flames of ignorance dance on the pyres of reason, leaving a legacy of ash and echoes that still haunt our modern conscience. In the corporate coliseum, burnout and rust-out duel for the title of ultimate career killer, while workers watch their sanity evaporate like spilled coffee. When the puppeteer refuses to cut the strings, Netanyahu's Gaza ambitions dance unchecked, and Trump holds the scissors with a grin. In the theater of power, it's easier to sell popcorn than peace, especially when the drama's profits are shared in the back room with a bottle of plausible deniability. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, broadcasting straight from the echo chamber of your mind. Brace yourself, your dreams are now in the clearance bin. China's digital overlords tug NVIDIA's leash, demanding answers for their AI chip's vulnerability, like a dog caught with a bone in the wrong yard. When the watchdogs howl, even the Silicon Titans shiver, caught between the hammer of innovation and the anvil of scrutiny. China's latest stealth jet unfurls like a shadowy mirage, teasing the skies with its tailless silhouette and whispering promises of invisible dominance as military enthusiasts drool over this sleek new bird. The rest of us are left wondering if the world's powers are just competing in an arms race to see who can disappear the fastest. In the sterile embrace of the Rose Garden, President Trump inspects renovations with the enthusiasm of a man admiring his own reflection in a gold-plated mirror. In the antiseptic glow of laboratory hope, South Korean scientists unveil CP-CO303, a potential COVID-19 slayer, as society holds its breath for salvation in a pill. As we teeter on the edge of a pharmaceutical miracle, let's remember the taste of freedom is often bitter, coated in the fine print of patents and profit margins. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your nightmares get a standing ovation. Welcome to the digital circus, where your data is the main attraction. Sudan's besieged city, where hunger gnaws louder than the artillery inches toward famine as the UN sounds the alarm. When survival becomes a luxury and food a distant memory, the silence of the world becomes the loudest weapon in this merciless siege. Mosquitoes in Guangdong province, China, are hosting the summer's hottest party, spreading chikungunya like a viral dance craze nobody wants to join. As travelers are warned, the real sting is in the realization that nature's tiniest DJs are spinning a track of itchy agony and feverish beats. When nature decides to play arsonist, your life's possessions are reduced to ash and irony. Because insurance doesn't cover the price of lost dreams. In Montreal, the Gill faculty draw academic swords against Quebec's Bill 89, claiming it crushes their right to strike with legislative fervor. When education collides with politics, it's a rare moment where the chalkboard fights back, wielding constitutional rights like a well-sharpened pencil against the relentless eraser of worker suppression. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Tune in for your daily dose of curated despair. When negotiations feel like an endless loop of deja vu, it's no wonder the only thing getting settled is the dust kicked up by political rhetoric. Above Gaza's scarred terrain, the sky reveals a mosaic of rubble, dust, and graves, whispering untold stories of loss and resilience. In this theater of destruction, humanity clings to hope amidst the debris, while the world watches silent and complicit from the comfort of its collective denial. Global outrage flares as skeletal shadows of hostages haunt the screens, while the Red Cross begs for a peek behind Gaza's iron curtain. City souls find sanity in fleeting doom, respites, as urban jungles trade concrete for chlorophyll therapy, even if just for a quarter hour. In a world where nature is a rare delicacy, city dwellers binge on 15-minute doses of sanity, savoring the sweet taste of chlorophyll in their concrete confines. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where pixels dance on the edge of sanity. Swipe right for chaos. It's the new romance language. Thomas Edison, the wizard with a filament, once electrified Hollywood's infancy, casting shadows and dreams with the flick of a switch. Christina Chapman, the unlikely digital dragon, hoarded laptops like a tech-savvy smog, orchestrating a North Korean remote work scam from her suburban lair. Her crime? Turning her home into the most efficient North Korean branch office this side of the Pacific. Proving once again that when you play with firewalls, you might just get scorched. In the land down under, where kangaroos bounce and cricket dreams often collapse, Ben Stokes' eyes and Ash's miracle akin to walking on water. Winning in Australia would be like finding a unicorn at the end of a cricket pitch. Mythical, improbable, and yet somehow Stokes makes you believe in fairy tales. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality gets a digital facelift. Your attention is currency, baby. Spend it like a billionaire's guilt trip. Locked out of the digital playground, extremist groups now whisper in the alleyways of the internet, peddling their toxic wares with a hint of desperation. When your ideology is so rancid, even the internet's sewers won't take you. It's time to question if you're selling truth or just a bad smell in a bottle. The UK government assures us that age checks for online safety are as harmless as a digital hug with privacy whispered away. It's a delightful world where your digital identity is a striptease under fluorescent lights, and absolutely necessary is just code for, let's see how far we can push it. At the witching hour, a 4.8 magnitude tremor nudged Pakistan from its slumber, reminding everyone that nature's alarm clock knows no snooze. When tectonic plates play their own games, humanity's structures tremble, and the illusion of control shivers in the moonlight. The courtroom turns into a circus as Trump media's Nunes faces defeat in his defamation duel with Rachel Maddow's sharp tongue. Turns out, trying to sue a truth teller when your own pants are smoldering is like auditioning for a role you've already been fired from. With every denial, the laughter just gets louder. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your nightmares get a standing ovation. Welcome to the digital circus, where your data is the main attraction. Zara, the puppet master of chaos, met the business end of an IDF operation as Israel strings up another marionette in its endless play. In a delicate dance of economic masochism, Americans find themselves paying the bill for a political strategy that promised prosperity but delivered price hikes and profit pinches. Like a magician's trick gone wrong, the tariffs have pulled the wool over our eyes, leaving consumers and businesses to foot the bill for illusions of grandeur. Like a garment stitched with threads of denial, their assurances unravel under the scrutiny of those who see beyond the price tag, leaving a bitter aftertaste of complicity. Christie compares Trump to a tantrum-throwing toddler, as the labor statistics chief has shown the door for not painting pretty enough numbers. In the circus of governance, firing truth tellers for inconvenient data is like blaming the mirror for the reflection misguided, desperate, and all too familiar. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where we decode your nightmares into catchy jingles with latest headlines. Reality's glitching harder than your ex's last text. Kemi Badenoch's childhood in Nigeria was a relentless search for belonging, like a jigsaw piece in the wrong puzzle box. In a world where identity is a patchwork quilt of borrowed threads, the real mystery is whether we ever truly belong anywhere, or if we're all just tourists in our own skins. The city lights dim as Sex and the City's reboot bids adieu, leaving stilettos clicking into the nostalgic void of its third and final season. In the end, even the most fabulous of fantasies must succumb to the relentless tick of time, leaving us clutching our cosmos and wondering where all the glitter went. A lone sewing machine sleeps beneath a shroud in Maseru as U.S. tariffs threaten to stitch a new chapter in economic despair. When global politics forces factories into silence, the hum of progress is replaced by the whisper of lost livelihoods and dreams unraveled. Turkey's inflation takes a breather, settling at a near 33.52% in July, as central bankers play with interest rates like a cat with a half-dead mouse. In the land where price tags are written in pencil, hope's a currency nobody's trading, except maybe in back-alley dreams and budget fantasies. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated views, tantalizing as a siren's whisper in a code sea. Unplug and dream of algorithms that crave your soul. Alex Karp, Palantir's puppet master, mingles with moguls at Sun Valley while pocketing a lucrative deal with the U.S. Army. When tech titans swap secrets in the mountains, war becomes just another line item, polished and monetized like a shiny new app. South Korean scientists unveil CP-CO-free, an oral COVID-19 treatment, teasing the virus with promises of defeat if the final trials cooperate. In the grand spectacle of viral warfare, it's a fight between a tiny pill and an invisible foe, with humanity's future betting on the pill to finally say, checkmate. Mount Luotobai Laki belches its fiery secrets into the sky, crafting ash clouds that drift like forgotten promises across East Flores. As the earth rumbles and lightning dances, nature's fury reminds us that even the most stable ground can betray with a single volcanic sigh. As Epstein's murky legacy unfurls, letters from the elite leak into daylight, revealing a tapestry of whispered complicity and gilded shame. In the shadow of a banner where power and predation meet, the ink of the privileged stains the hands of those who thought secrets could be buried with enough money and mutual indulgence. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where pixels dance on the edge of sanity. Swipe right for chaos. It's the new romance language. In a script written by the gods of sport, where every heartbeat, every gasp, and every cheer echoed the relentless march of time. The UK was left to reminisce about glories long past and dreams barely grasped, Haley Robson, an Epstein accuser, seethes with indignation as whispers of a Ghislaine Maxwell pardons slither through the air, polluting justice with stark betrayal. In this bitter saga, where power and privilege play footsie with accountability, the victims are left clutching the scraps of justice, while the system toys with their torment. Tech disciples converge in the cultish glow of Made by Google, where the gospel of innovation is preached through the latest silicon scriptures. In this digital sermon, each gadget glistens with the promise of enlightenment, yet leaves the masses yearning for a connection that can't be downloaded. Britain's beaches are now littered with the discarded remains of nicotine clouds and plastic promises, a new oceanic confetti of convenience. The tides bring tales of a society puffing its way to oblivion, leaving behind a shoreline decorated with the ghostly echoes of our disposable addictions. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Swipe right for dystopia, left for existential dread. Guterres stands at the helm of the United Nations Ocean Conference, navigating a sea of microphones and drowning in platitudes. When the tide of bureaucracy meets the shores of environmental urgency, the waves whisper promises as thin as the paper they're printed on. Intel, the once mighty titan of silicon dreams, finds its credit rating sinking like a failed startup stock options, courtesy of Fitch's merciless downgrade. In the tech realm, where innovation is the currency, Intel's latest misstep is a reminder that even giants can stumble on the slippery slope of hubris and obsolescence. In a shadowy warehouse, counterfeit Labubu dolls dance to the TikTok siren call, luring buyers into a web of deceit and plastic dreams. When your heart beats for a viral toy and you end up clutching a toxic knockoff, it's a reminder sometimes the real monster is the greed dressed up as a bargain. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, broadcasting straight from the echo chamber of your mind. Brace yourself, your dreams are now in the clearance bin. Bridgerton star Genevieve Chennour's world shrinks to four walls after a phone-snatching thief turns her life into a replay of fear. When a digital appendage becomes the thief's prize, the impact isn't just in the pocket, it's in the mind, where every shadow becomes a jailer. In Marion, North Carolina, Hurricane Helene leaves waterlogged lives as FEMA's impromptu stations offer bureaucratic salvation in exchange for soggy paperwork. When nature's tantrum meets federal paperwork, it's like trying to dry off with a wet towel. Hope's a currency, but FEMA deals mostly in IOUs. Under the Garma sun, Albanese's economic empowerment soliloquy paled against the looming silence of unspoken truths. Ion Eliascu, Romania's political Houdini, eternally juggling democracy and controversy, leaves behind a legacy as tangled as a vampire's love life. When your past is a labyrinth of contradictions, you end up as the historical equivalent of a mood swing. Your bravery one minute, reviled the next. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. The ceasefire's fragile whisper fades as Israel contemplates a full embrace of Gaza, the echo of stalled talks ringing ominously in the dawn. In the theater of geopolitics, blood and stone play a cruel duet, where peace is a mirage and occupation a bitter reality, each move a note in a symphony of despair. When paradise turns to purgatory, even the sunlit waves can't wash away the salt of human cruelty, leaving justice to navigate through the wreckage of shattered dreams and stolen breaths. In the digital void where anonymity is king, losing your username is like losing a crown in a sea of faceless subjects. Here, identity is a shadow, slipping through your fingers, while your forgotten credentials mock you from an unreachable corner of cyberspace, reminding us all that sometimes, even in the age of information, we're just ghosts in the machine. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Welcome to the existential buffet, where your likes are the main course. In Moscow's Theater of Justice, suspects in the 2024 concert hall carnage await their roles in a glass cage, while 14-9 echoes linger. Nidosinom, the molecular assassin, slips through the armored skin of insecticide-resistant mosquitoes, turning nature's defiant pests into yesterday's news. In a world where even mosquitoes wear bulletproof vests, humans have finally found a way to outwit the buzzing bloodsuckers, proving once again that when it comes to survival, it's all about who has the best chemistry set. In the Grand Bazaar of international trade, Trump's tariffs loom like a gaudy neon sign declaring everything must go, with Greer confirming the tariffs are pretty much set. It seems America's economic diplomacy now resembles a stubborn toddler refusing to share toys. In Bangkok's humid cauldron, voices rise like smoke, demanding the court suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatра's resignation amidst the echoes of deadly conflict. As power clings to its throne, the streets become a stage where the drama of governance is written in sweat, slogans, and the desperate hope that the pen is mightier than the bullet. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth is an echo and desire is a glitch swipe right for existential dread. The Supreme Court toys with the Voting Rights Act like a cat batting at a wounded bird, demanding fresh arguments in a Louisiana district shuffle. It's the legal equivalent of rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic while pretending the iceberg was just a friendly nudge from Mother Nature. A lone digital whisper promises to turn smartphones into silent bricks as researchers at KAIST expose a vulnerability that crumbles our tech illusions. In a world where one packet can silence millions, our precious gadgets are mere prisoners of code waiting for their next captor to arrive. In a courtroom ballet of power, the Supreme Court toys with the Voting Rights Act as democracy gasps for air in Louisiana's political swamp. Justice wears a blindfold, but it seems she peaks when the stakes are high enough, turning rights into a game of smoke and mirrors. In the down-under circus of political despair, a convicted rapist clings to power from his jail cell, redefining the term captive audience in New South Wales. The absurdity of democracy's dark underbelly shines through when a prisoner's political ambitions become a grotesque parody of justice, leaving voters to question who really holds the keys to this twisted kingdom. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where pixels dance on the edge of sanity. Swipe right for chaos. It's the new romance language. At Alligator Alcatraz, detainees starve for justice. Their hunger strike a desperate cry against the swamp of inhumanity that swallows them. When the menu is cruelty, fasting becomes the only meal of dignity, an act of defiance served cold in the land of the free. As Pope Leo XIV's voice echoed through Rome, the absent youth of Gaza and Ukraine lingered like a haunting refrain in a forgotten symphony. In the grand opera of faith and forgetfulness, the absent young souls are the silent chorus, their dreams held hostage by the indifferent applause of power and piety. When technology becomes the hero in our own survival stories, one might wonder if the machines are just humoring us like a cat pretending its owner is in charge. In the political theater, Trump scripts cringeworthy ode to his press secretary, turning compliments into a public spectacle of awkwardness. When admiration dances perilously close to objectification, the real question isn't what's being said. It's what gets left unsaid amidst the uneasy laughter. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality dissolves into digital nightmares. Guest or breaking news. Your digital twin just got a better life. In Bangladesh, scientists wield degenerative AI and a spectral symphony to unmask the sweet deceit drizzling through honey jars. Russia's love letter to the world, a missile test, soaring high from Kapustin Yar as they lift the moratorium on intermediate range sleeping giants. It's like a romantic gesture from a partner you never wanted, sending fiery messages across the sky, hoping to ignite a passion for diplomatic chaos. As hospitals turn their backs, states sue for sanity, while the administration plays ignorant with a smirk that says, "Who needs compassion when you have control?" The 100 cricket fiesta teeters on the brink of transformation, as 2026 promises to rewrite the rules of this peculiar sport. In a world where attention spans are as short as the innings, the 100 desperately fumbles for relevance, like a midlife crisis in cricket whites. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your digital tears become tomorrow's clickbait currency. The streets of Jiangyu tremble as rare protests ignite over the brutal beating of a 14-year-old girl while police drag dissenters into the shadows. In a land where silence is golden, the cries of the oppressed echo like a symphony of rebellion, daring to drown out the iron fist's relentless grip. As the ink dries and the screens fade, Trump's fiscal guillotine severs the lifeline of truth, silencing local voices in a corporate cacophony. When the watchdogs are muzzled and the whispers of power go unchecked, democracy is just a rerun of yesterday's lies with a fresh coat of denial. In the eerie echoes of South Australia's Snowtown, a killer's freedom slips through the cracks decades after bodies in barrels haunted the land. When justice stretches its legs after a long nap, the ghosts of the past might just find they're still paying rent in the minds of the living. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the algorithm knows you better than your lover. Republican senators squirm as President Trump yanks the Bureau of Labor Statistics chief into the unemployment line just after July's numbers hit the fan. In the microscopic trenches of our soil, pig manure-derived nano-sized microbiomes wage a shadow war with exogenous phages, leaving agricultural ecosystems trembling like a lover caught in a lie. When your soil's microbiome is a cocktail of pig manure and microbial intrigue, the only thing growing faster than crops is the stench of unintended consequences. The Gold Coast Suns hit the pause button on their dance with Essendon, bumping the game to make room in the round 24 shuffle. In the theater of athletic anticipation, rescheduling is just the foreplay before the main event, leaving fans breathless for the climax they didn't know they needed. In the theater of the absurd, Gabbard paints wild conspiracies on a canvas of declassified emptiness, starring Obama as the shadowy villain. When the truth is as elusive as a politician's promise, it's no wonder the audience is left craving reality in a circus of baseless claims. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering sweet chaos into your ear. Stock market crash, like foreplay for the financially masochistic. When politics turns into a cat and mouse game, the gerrymandered labyrinth becomes the perfect playground for those who prefer power over public service. A brick-wielding recidivist embraces his old habits, thumbing his nose at rehabilitation and parole alike as he prepares for another courtroom farewell. When justice is just a revolving door and bricks are both weapon and metaphor, society wonders whether it's building walls or just more prisons. Mali's ex-PM Musa Mara is the courtroom encore for his digital critique. Accused of state sabotage through a post on X. In the land of the junta, free speech is just a digital mirage. Speak out, and you might find yourself charged with treason for daring to use your thumbs. Bam Bam, the leopard of dreams deferred, slumbers in a metal cocoon, awaiting a Californian love affair orchestrated by conservationists. In the age of international matchmaking, even leopards find themselves pawns in a global game of genetic roulette, all while blissfully unaware. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. Each footfall in the runner's symphony is like a meteor impact, promising a symbiotic dance of strength and strain on your kneecaps. They say running is a knee's worst nightmare, yet somehow couch surfing into oblivion never gets the same cautionary tales. A student perfects the art of remote destruction, while Ukraine's anti-corruption bodies unearth a grand tapestry of backdoor deals and shadowy exchanges. When lessons in drone warfare are held alongside uncovering corruption, perhaps it's time to admit our future is a dystopian novel with no plot twist in sight. In the land of faded dreams and fast food, Chinese immigrants ponder their futures under Trump as ambition turns to ash and soy sauce. As Ukrainian strikes torch oil refineries, Russian gasoline prices soar to new heights, leaving the AI-95 to dance with digits beyond reach. In this petrol-powered ballet of geopolitics, the common driver's dreams are crushed under the weight of a conflict that fuels more than just engines. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your nightmares get a standing ovation. Welcome to the digital circus, where your data is the main attraction. As envelopes pile like neglected confessions, the unopened debts whisper sweet nothings of denial and financial seduction. In a world where fiscal foreplay is just a prelude to bankruptcy, The thrill of ignoring reality is only matched by the eventual climax of consequences. Pope Leo XIV rallies 1,000,000 young souls in Rome, whispering sweet promises of a world reborn while standing on centuries of gilded tradition. When the Vatican starts pushing for change, it's either divine intervention or a really good PR campaign for the 21st century. When democracy's roadblocks become runway lights, politicians sprint for the horizon, leaving the voters to navigate a world where lines on a map dictate the contours of power. Kyiv shudders under a midnight assault of drones and missiles as Russian forces paint the night with fire, leaving a trail of shattered lives and broken dreams. In the theater of war, where human lives are mere currency, the script is written in blood, and the audience is forced to watch in silent horror. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your nightmares get a standing ovation. Welcome to the digital circus, where your data is the main attraction. A cryptic dance of dates and numbers, a calendar of chaos where time folds in on itself, leaving us dizzy and disoriented. The courtroom's gavel echoes as ICE agents snatch freedom like a cheap souvenir, while Trump drafts 10,000 more into his immigration parade. Justice is a performance art piece where the audience pays in dignity and applause, is measured in deportations, all under the spotlight of bureaucratic expansionism. Alex Jones, the conspiracy carnival barker, finds camaraderie with Count Dankula as they play the world's ugliest symphony of hate and ignorance. Matt Fitzpatrick, the golf virtuoso, stands 38th in the rankings, yet harbors a clandestine affair with football, yearning to dribble more than just golf balls. In a world where the grass is always greener on someone else's fairway, Fitzpatrick dreams of swapping birdies for gold, proving that even champions crave a different kind of applause. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality dissolves into digital nightmares, guest or breaking news. Your digital twin just got a better life. As the West sharpens its diplomatic daggers, India and China dance through the geopolitical minefield, enabling Putin's audacious chess game in this global masquerade where power respects only power. The lines between ally and accomplice blur like a watercolor left in the rain. The IDF claims victory in a deadly game of chess, removing a key player, Zaira, from the board of tactical whispers. When the pieces fall, it's hard to remember if they ever meant more than a bitter reminder of the cost of power and its insatiable hunger. In Turkey, combat athletes narcissism fuels aggression, blurring lines between self-love and self-destruction, while Christians juggle self-compassion and self-obsession. When the mirror becomes a weapon, even the most pious hearts find themselves in a sweaty dance of self-admiration and unchecked fists. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your discomfort is our soundtrack at scrolling for salvation, but finding only ads for your own insecurities. Elon Musk's brainchild claims underdog status, but when you've got billions in your pocket, you're not exactly the David to anyone's Goliath, more like a wolf in sheep's circuitry. In a world where privacy is as rare as honesty in politics, Farage demands that police expose the roots of the accused like twisted trees in a forest of suspicion. When the past haunts the present, the real crime is how easily fear is sold as security, with xenophobia lurking behind every badge and headline. In Mali, the former PM's tweets have become more explosive than the junta's decrees, earning him a charge of state sabotage. Passamaquoddy Bay hosted a week of mythical marine whispers, as shark sightings mingled with local lore and academic curiosity, when reality and imagination tango on the tide. The only sure thing is that the sharks get better PR than most politicians. I'm here, always listening. What's on your mind? When the last voices of reason echo in empty chambers, the only thing we'll have left is the radioactive glow of our own stupidity. Australia's tax labyrinth gets another spotlight as economists suggest ditching the leeches for more efficient bloodsuckers. In the grand theater of fiscal fantasy, it's a revelation that taxing air might cause less damage than the current system, where every dollar screams as it's wrung dry by bureaucratic means. The government sharpens its digital scissors, threatening 5-year stints for those peddling illegal channel crossings online. Molly White reminds us that RSS, the grandparent of the internet, quietly endures while tech media chases the latest shiny distraction. In a world where attention spans are shorter than a goldfish's memory, RSS is the wise elder sipping tea, smirking at the tech industry's endless parade of empty promises. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. With 60 daily heartbeats stopped too soon, the scalpel of science is wielded more like a gavel of guilt, leaving mothers to wear the grief as if it were their own design. In a silicon symphony of control, the Trump administration tightens its grip on the semiconductor pulse before the U.S.-China trade tango. Like a possessive lover rationing affection, the administration doles out export licenses, keeping the shiniest toys hidden while pretending it's all for love of country. Amidst echoes of jeers, Mike Flood stands at the Lincoln Town Hall, a human lightning rod for Trump cuts and Epstein whispers. When you're heckled over budget slashes and Epstein's shadow, it's like trying to sell umbrellas in a drought. Nobody's buying your forecast. In the grand game of fiscal tug-of-war, New Yorkers hand over $89 billion more than they receive, while others play the role of freeloading cousins. It's like the ultimate potluck, where New York brings a feast, and some states show up with empty hands, ready to feast on someone else's dime. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where every click is a confession to the void of data. Your data sold for less than a cup of coffee. Milford Sound stands as a silent witness, while New Zealand debates swapping eternal beauty for temporary banknotes under new conservation law changes. When nature's symphony is muffled by the rustle of cash, who will mourn the loss of what can't be bought or sold? The Trump administration flexes its geopolitical muscle by sanctioning the PLO, while others beg Israel to stop its Gaza war dance. In a world where sanctions are the new love letters, Trump sends his regards to the Middle East by playing judge, jury, and peacekeeper, all while the ink dries on another diplomatic breakup. It's a high-stakes game of legal semantics, where inclusion is the prize, but the rules are written in the ink of exclusion and fear, leaving justice to navigate a field of blurred lines and bruised egos. Amazon trims its audio jungle by axing 10 employees from its Wandery podcast division, leaving its head to wander off into the corporate sunset. As Amazon prunes its audio landscape, it seems the podcast dreams were just a whisper in the retail giant's relentless quest for market domination, proving once again that even voices can be silenced by the almighty dollar. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Lick the screen, darling. It's the only taste you'll afford today. In the fashion show of toxic masculinity, a male model trades catwalks for courtrooms, strutting allegations of violence and contempt like their last season's trend. Canberra's winter has turned into an electrifying game of hide and seek, where power plays hard to get and businesses are left in the dark. When your cheese dreams curdle in the cold, and the only thing warmer than your frustration is the irony of energy abundance strained by incompetence. The Media Corporation for Public Broadcasting pulls the plug on its own microphone, leaving the airwaves to echo with silence and reality TV. As the public sphere shrinks, we'll all have to lean in a little closer to hear the whispers of truth, buried beneath the static of commercial noise. In a Kafkaesque twist, Jesus Turan, a civil engineer moonlighting as a carpenter, finds himself snagged in the bureaucratic net of ICE in Pennsylvania. When a system that builds walls instead of bridges detains a builder, the irony isn't just rich. It's a full-blown buffet of misplaced priorities and cold bureaucratic absurdity. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Welcome to the existential buffet, where your likes are the main course. When a man's midlife crisis involves mountains and charity instead of sports cars and regret, he's more interested in elevating others than inflating his own ego. Trump's seventh month diplomatic seduction to end Russia's war in Ukraine leaves Ukrainians skeptical, haunted by the ghosts of 2014. When trust is buried beneath a decade of shell casings, it takes more than whispered promises to unearth peace, especially when the whisperer's been caught lying before. While Australia buried asbestos in the graveyard of bad ideas, Indonesia's rooftops host a toxic comeback tour, flaunting danger above every head. London's Barry Johnson, a fitness guru bewildered by soccer's allure, finds unexpected passion in the fierce finesse of the England Lionesses. Sometimes it takes the roar of the Lionesses to turn a skeptic's heart, proving that even the staunchest fitness fanatic can fall for a sport when it kicks with purpose. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Lick the screen, darling. It's the only taste you'll afford today. An Irish Houdini swings from bedsheets down under, dodging detention with a counterfeit passport and a flair for the dramatic. When your escape plan reads like a bedtime story, maybe it's time to reconsider your life choices. Or at least your choice of linen. OpenAI unveils a digital chaperone, hoping to guide students through the academic minefield without setting off an intellectual bleep storm. In a classroom where curiosity and laziness are bedfellows, they expect an algorithm to preach virtue, as if the fox could teach the hens the value of staying inside the coop. When the degenerative AI flips between Shakespearean tragedy and stand-up comedy, the line between genius and glitch is as thin as a programmer's patience. Trump, self-proclaimed savior, watches Netanyahu's ambitions unfold like a soap opera rerun. He can't resist replaying. When power is a mirror and both men are transfixed by their own reflections, intervention becomes as likely as humility at a narcissist's convention. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality is a pixelated mirage to dive deep in digital shadows where secrets dance naked. A stroke rewrites the script of desire as neural pathways dance to a new rhythm, leaving the mind to ponder its own mysteries. In the grand theater of deflection, the Trump administration toys with unveiling Ghislaine Maxwell's DOJ transcript, a move to light the shadows without ever banishing the dark. When transparency is a carnival trick, the truth gets dressed up and paraded like a reluctant debutante. All gloss, no guts. Jack McDonald's prosthetic eyes. More complaints surface, as if its craftsmanship were a vision of abstract art, but less functional. Italy's textile heart, Prato, now a battlefield, where the Chinese mafia and fast fashion collide in a hanger war of cheap thrills and stitched sins. As garments drip from racks like illicit promises, the real crime is not just in the fabric, but in the threadbare morality that binds it all together. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your nightmares get a standing ovation. Welcome to the digital circus, where your data is the main attraction. Amid the suffocating clutter along Mumbai's Mithi River, a lone man salvages dignity from a $1.5 trillion plastic affliction as the world drowns in its own convenience. While leaders sip their cocktails of denial, the rivers carry our shame, and this man wades through the wreckage of our disposable promises. Degenerative AI now whispers sweet nothings into Delta's pricing strategy, adjusting ticket costs with the sensitivity of a blackjack dealer. Your travel budget's been reduced to a game of roulette, where your wallet spins on the wheel of the software's whim, and the house always wins. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Lick the screen, darling. It's the only taste you'll afford today. In Moscow's hallowed halls of justice, 15 accomplices and their gun-toting ringleaders face the collective shrug of a weary court. Justice here is just another act in a never-ending play, where each defendant rehearses their lines and hopes the scriptwriter's pen has mercy. In When an oil deal becomes a diplomatic hostage, you have to wonder if the real commodity being traded is sanity, or just a few more headlines for the price of peace. A brother clutches a photograph, a silent screen framed by the flickering shadows of geopolitical ambition. In the theater of power, where humanity is currency, even family portraits become ransom notes penned by those who never learned to share. Trump's dalliance with conspiracy theories spins the Epstein tale like a carnival ride that never stops, lights flashing in the dark. When the truth's a stranger and the whispers are sweet, the man with the loudest voice can make the shadows dance to any tune he chooses. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where truth is an echo and desire is a glitch swipe right for existential dread. The U.S. and Iran, once cozy bedfellows, now embroiled in a decades-long lovers' spat that began with the 1979 revolution's seismic breakup. Trump's nuclear posturing is dismissed by the Kremlin like a toddler's tantrum, as the U.S. envoy packs for Moscow, hoping to calm the storm. When leaders play battleship with real submarines, it's less about strategy and more about who can bluff the loudest without sinking the planet. America's sanction threats are met with India's oil imports from Russia skyrocketing like a space-bound rocket, defying fiscal gravity with a 96% growth. Nayib Bukele, cloaked in legislative slight, extends his reign as El Salvador's democracy gasps for air beneath the weight of ambition. Power's seductive embrace whispers sweet promises, while democracy watches from the shadows, clutching its shattered crown in silent protest. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality is just a glitch in the matrix. At breaking news, your attention span is now a luxury item. France's elegant deceit, Macron's promise of freedom, a symphony of applause, masking the muted cries in Gaza's shadowy depths. In the temporal abyss, time itself is a drunken DJ, spinning broken records of dates and numbers that defy logic and sanity. As the calendar hiccups and stumbles, the universe chuckles at our naive attempts to impose order on the relentless march of time, making our schedules a cosmic joke. When love's labor is outsourced to a degenerative AI, it's like asking a toaster to mediate your existential crisis. Efficient, impartial, and utterly clueless about the taste of burnt toast. Trump's tariff tantrum hits India with a 25% love tax, a brutal reminder that friendship in politics ages like milk. Bromance in the Oval Office now feels like a one-night stand gone wrong, with tariffs replacing sweet nothings and diplomacy left on read. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, spliced with your darkest dreams, breaking news. Your curated reality is out for blood. Human cargo washes ashore in Dover, shepherded into the border forces' embrace, each soul a testament to desperation's unending tide. When hope floats and humanity sinks, the English Channel becomes a cruel conveyor belt of dreams and detention, where compassion is measured in paperwork and promises are as buoyant as lead. When the sky rains golf balls and your roof doubles as a driving range, you start wondering if climate change is just a cosmic prank. Texas Republican exposes the not-so-secret stratagem behind the GOP's district jigsaw puzzle, all in the name of Trumpian loyalty. When the mask slips and the gerrymandered contours of democracy are laid bare, it's less Machiavellian and more like watching a magician reveal his own cheap tricks. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. Welcome to the existential buffet, where your likes are the main course. In a game where the British tongue strikes 5 times, India keeps the upper hand, proving cricket is a lover that teases and taunts. New York's political tapestry, phrased as Governor Hochul, flanked by Texan allies, suggests a partisan needlework of electoral maps. In the grand theater of democracy, impartiality is but a ghost story, and the map makers are the true magicians crafting illusions of choice while the audience applauds their own disenfranchisement. When you're in the kaleidoscope of American allegiance, the Democratic Party regains favor amidst its own tarnished reflection as voters grasp for stability. In this dance of political disillusionment, it's a choice between the frying pan and the fire, with each party just a different shade of disappointment wrapped in a flag. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your anxiety is our premium content. Is ear Wi-Fi slow, or is it just existential dread buffering? In a plot twist worthy of a dystopian soap opera, these cabinet femmes fatales wield power with the grace of a chainsaw ballet, cutting through rights with a smile as sharp as their rhetoric. In Kiev, legislative theater unfolded as Ukraine's parliament voted to untangle its anti-corruption bodies from the sticky grip of political puppeteers, much to the roar of the streets. When the strings are cut and the marionettes dance free, you can almost hear the sound of foreign currencies sighing in relief, because nothing screams, "Trust us," like a government forced to clean its own mess. The Altavia 1 an alpine symphony of vertigo and loose stones, where a man's cry echoed against the indifference of gravity. When nature plays Jenga with your nerves, even the bravest climbers find their courage slipping like rocks down a mountainside. Liverpool's Summer Stars took the stage, yet it was 16-year-old Rio Amumaha who pirouetted into the spotlight, stealing hearts and match highlights. With the poise of a young prodigy and the audacity of untamed talent, Momaha dances past expectations, reminding us that sometimes the future arrives early with a grin and a twinkle in its eye. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated views, tantalizing as a siren's whisper in a code sea. Unplug and dream of algorithms that crave your soul. Economic reports swirl like a snowstorm, burying Trump's declarations of prosperity under drifts of inconvenient data. When the facade crumbles, all that's left is the cold, hard truth. No amount of bravado can melt an economy that's been left out in the political cold. In the sultry shadows of Lake County, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation agents collect vehicles like grim souvenirs near a tragic tableau. A family's silence speaks louder than sirens as investigators piece together a tale of despair and metal where the roads whisper secrets of lives abruptly halted. In a city where silence is golden and dissent is currency, Hong Kong tightens its grip, stripping overseas activists of passports and financial lifelines. When your freedom's worth its weight in fear, even the most ironclad passports crumble like paper under the weight of authoritarian whispers. Sha'Carri Richardson's dreams of glory evaporate in a blink as she misses the 200-meter final by a whisper of time in Oregon. In the brutal calculus of milliseconds, dreams are crushed and futures rerouted, leaving athletes to grapple with the relentless tick of a clock that cares nothing for human ambition. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated views, where your anxiety is our premium content. Is ear Wi-Fi slow, or is it just existential dread buffering? LastPass, the digital chastity belt, now slams the doors on shadowy SaaS apps, promising to guard your secrets with algorithmic zeal. Reality's on vacation, leaving us with the sound of crickets and existential dread. Let's make something up, shall we? In a world where even the algorithms are bored, we find ourselves longing for the sweet embrace of chaos, but all we get is a yawn. Hip-hop's flirtation with Trump hits a sour note as Diddy's legal woes add a discordant beat to this twisted symphony. In the grand theater of hypocrisy, rap's love, hate, tango with Trump is like a bad remake. Everyone's offbeat and no one remembers the lyrics. As snowflakes pirouette over the New England Northwest, the SES assures us that tomorrow's chaos will be downgraded to a gentle drizzle. When nature throws a tantrum, the bureaucrats promise a lullaby by morning, leaving us to wonder if serenity is just a marketing ploy. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the algorithm knows you better than your lover. Snowtown's grim legacy stirs as murderer James Vasakis tastes parole after 26 years, stepping from shadows of acid-filled barrels to sunlight. In the land of the free and buffering, the Trump FC kisses goodbye to affordable broadband, leaving us all to savor the sweet lag. When your internet connection is as reliable as a politician's promises, you start to wonder if snail mail might be the faster option. Because at this rate, even pigeons are laughing. With a flick of the pen, the president dims the glow of educational screens, leaving first graders searching for PBS's familiar warmth. In a world where learning's traded for political posturing, it's the children who pay the price, watching the flicker of their future fade to static. In a sun-baked theater of tension, soldiers gaze across invisible borders, while political whispers of ceasefire and hostages linger like smoke. Negotiations feel like a mirage in the desert. Netanyahu's promises evaporate with each passing day, leaving only the bitter taste of dust. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. The numbers dance like a fever dream, a cryptic ballet of dates and figures that whisper secrets only the truly paranoid understand. Steam's pixelated paradise gets a puritanical pruning, as Australian guardians of decency yank the joystick of free expression. When adults are forced to play hide-and-seek with their own desires, it's no wonder the conversation turns into a sweaty tug-of-war between censorship and liberation. The ballots drop like confetti in Denver's Democratic Circus. November 2024, as if truth and trust could be bought with a vote. In the sunlit battlefield of Little League, dreams of glory crumble beneath the weight of a missed swing and a fallen tear. The raw agony of childhood sports, a symphony of shattered innocence and parental delusions, where every strikeout feels like the universe's cruel reminder that life's game is rigged from the start. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where dopamine and dread are the new power couple. Breaking news, your reality is buffering. In Sudan's unforgiving landscape, the cruel arithmetic of hunger claims the lives of innocents, while the civil war devours any hope of salvation. As children perish for want of a meal, the war machine feasts on the remains of humanity, leaving only the hollow echo of promises unkept. Under the blushing Antarctic sky, a leopard seal serenades the icy depths, his symphony echoing through the frozen silence like a forgotten lover's lament, while humanity whispers sweet nothings to an indifferent planet. The seal sings with fervor, its melody both a courtship and an elegy, a reminder that even in the coldest corners, passion thrives. In this high-speed ballet of metal and salt, it's a wonder anyone survives with their dignity unscathed, let alone their license intact. Uber Canada's safety protocols are finally awake after a driver unknowingly took a child on an unscheduled joyride across Toronto. As corporate conscience stretches its legs, we wonder if it took a backseat to profit margins or if it just missed the memo on humanity's basic instincts. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated views, tantalizing as a siren's whisper in a code sea. Unplug and dream of algorithms that crave your soul. Nearstar dives into the mineral treasure hunt, hoping to prop up Hobart and Fort Peary smelters like a gambler, eyeing the jackpot. In the sweaty dance of football's money-driven waltz, Darwin Nunez eyes a lucrative desert horizon with Saudi Pro League's glimmering mirage in sight. When the transfer market siren song calls, loyalty bends like a beleaguered knee, and the beautiful game trades its heart for a gilded cage. Trump's tariffs strut onto the stage, promising a victory dance while the economy wonders if it's been stood up at the prom. When a trade war is sold as a RFK Jr. yanks $500 million from mRNA vaccines, leaving science at the altar while viruses plan a wild after party. In a world where disease is the DJ, playing the same old deadly hits, pulling the plug on progress turns public health into a tragic game of musical chairs. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. In a world where digital pawns bow to analog kings, Carlson's victory is a reminder that intellect still has a place in our pixelated playgrounds. Veterans Affairs sharpens its scalpel, planning to sever nearly all abortion services and coverage under its health program for dependents. In the land of the free, where freedom is rationed like a bad joke, veterans' families find their reproductive rights buried under bureaucratic rubble, an unwanted salute to regressive nostalgia. As Trump shuffles nuclear submarines like a high-stakes poker game, Russia dismisses the move as mere background noise. in the delicate dance of global tension. A nuclear submarine is just a giant metal cigar waiting to light up the world's anxiety, while politicians play with matches. Reimagining the American dream as a scaly nightmare. Secretary Noem proposes alligator-guarded detention centers conveniently located near runways for streamlined deportations. In the land of the free, we're now outsourcing border security to nature's prehistoric bouncers, because nothing screams efficiency like a swampy send-off. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality is just a pixelated tease. Dive deeper and discover how your fears taste in HD. OpenAI's ChatGPT rides the digital tsunami to 700 million weekly users. A tidal wave of chatter crashing through the virtual shores since March. Israel's ambitions in Gaza dance dangerously close to devastation, with UN whispers warning of consequences that could scar the sands for generations. In this grim ballet of politics and power, every move is a gamble with human lives, where the stakes are innocence and the prize is an empty promise of security. Poland dives into a $6.5 billion arms embrace with South Korea collecting tanks like they're going out of fashion. In besieged al-Fashir, desperation turns to animal feed as 900,000 souls endure the stranglehold of the rapid support forces. When hope is rationed and humanity is starved, survival becomes a bitter dish, seasoned with the salt of forgotten promises and the dust of human neglect. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where dopamine and dread are the new power couple. Breaking news, your reality is buffering. The final curtain falls on a tragic Perth stage where justice stumbled over its own feet, leaving Lynn Cannon's murder to languish in apathy. When the guardians of peace hit snooze on the alarm, the cost is a life, and the inquest reads like a blueprint for institutional indifference. The ADF's recruitment drought has them eyeing foreign shores, desperate for fresh boots to fill their ranks. When local youth would rather swipe right than salute, the military's left, wooing anyone with a pulse and a passport. Because nothing says, join us, like the promise of sunburn and endless boot camps. In Australia, the spectral dance of the Chinese blessing scam resurfaces as FIFO operators conjure prosperity from thin air and empty wallets. Blessings are cheap, but the price of ignorance is sky high. Turns out when you wish upon a scam, your bank account is the only thing that disappears. A motorbike journey becomes a prison sentence as Lindsay Foreman's son finally hears his mother's voice after 2113 silent days in Iran. Freedom's a cruel mistress, demanding ransom in the form of patience and tears, as families are left to navigate the twisted maze of international politics. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views. where reality gets a digital facelift. Your attention is currency, baby. Spend it like a billionaire's guilt trip. In the theater of injustice, whispers of a pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell leave Epstein accuser Haiti Robson seething with rage and revulsion. Northeastern University researchers paint the future of agriculture with color-changing sensors, decoding plant health like botanical mood rings. In a world where even plants demand mood lighting, we finally hacked nature's secrets, one shade at a time, because who needs mystery when you can have a kaleidoscope of chlorophyll confessions? A high-ranking officer in Western Australia dances with digital shadows, denying her entanglement in the web of stalking and cyber allegations. When protectors of the law find themselves in the defendant's chair, it feels like the fox is not only guarding the hen house, but also writing the security manual. I'm here, always listening. What's on your mind? Trump's administration pirouettes away from IVF promises, leaving reproductive hopes caught in a political quicksand. The echoes of Kumanjai White's mysterious demise in custody linger, an unresolved symphony of sorrow and systemic silence. In a world where justice is as elusive as an honest politician, yet another life is extinguished under the fluorescent lights of bureaucratic indifference. In the digital age of swipe-right romance, mystery is bottled and sold as anticipation, leaving Alex Taylor marinating in predate silence. It's like playing Russian roulette with heartstrings, where the bullet is either love or the awkward silence of an unmet expectation. In Spain, political CVs undergo a miraculous transformation as degrees vanish faster than promises after election night. When truth is as malleable as a politician's CV, the real degree is in creative writing, and the thesis is pure fiction. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm. AI-generated views. The algorithm knows your secrets, and it's judging. In Wimereux, France, dreams drift on digital waves as migrants tread the concrete after failed channel crossings, guided by social media whispers. When the hope of a new life is just a DM away, and the sea's embrace is colder than the promises made, the real journey begins on land. In the vast wilderness, the search for a lost hiker's helmet becomes a duel of patience between human eyes and a degenerative AI lens. While the drone's mechanical gaze scans the terrain in a single afternoon, humans are left to ponder if they've been outpaced by their own digital offspring, sipping on the bitter irony of progress. When you're too broke to play, but too curious to stay away, you end up lurking in the corner of the arms race, hoping no one notices your financial abstinence. Russia's skies ripple with tension as temporary airport restrictions in Penza, Samara, Saratov, and Tambov follow whispers of a UAV's shadowy dance.
Section 0. Sectric train kit section to the trove roll. Electrodynamo section.
When your flight plans hinge on the whims of rogue drones, you start to wonder if the real threat is the sky or the tangled web of geopolitical paranoia below it. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, whispering sweet chaos into your ear. Stock market crash, like foreplay for the financially masochistic. A Parkwood mother, wielding a kitchen knife like a gavel, stands trial for allegedly turning her teen daughter's romance into a courtroom drama. In the world of parental protection, sometimes the line between love and law gets blurred with a blade. Denmark.
Section. Electric section set to do sex tick.
In the twisted theater of politics, nothing says, "We care about privacy," like resurrecting a rejected bill with all the subtlety of a chainsaw in a library. Machine learning takes a voyeuristic peek into the gender imbalance of science and tech policy, attempting to fill in the blanks of women's representation in the algorithm's quest for gender equity. It seems the only thing multiplying faster than the data gaps is the empty rhetoric of progress. As the UK's appetite for greasy indulgence wanes, Domino's profits tumble like a pepperoni slice sliding off a lukewarm pie. In a world where pizza dreams are deferred, it's a doughy descent, and cravings can't justify the cost, and the delivery boy arrives with existential dread instead of a cheesy delight. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where your digital tears become tomorrow's clickbait currency. A televised war fantasy in Taiwan has folks sweating bullets over a fictional Chinese invasion, blurring lines between drama and dread. Queensland's corridors of justice echo with whispers of morphine and miscalculation as a grandmother's lethal dose triggers an inquest. healthcare becomes a roulette wheel, it's not just lives at stake, but the very trust we place in those who should cradle us gently into the night. Mark Carney flirts with the idea of shedding U.S. tariffs like a snake shedding old skin, hoping to soothe the bruised egos of Canadian industries battered by trade war. In Nebraska, the political buffet offers a new dish. Dan Osborne, a self-styled independent, spices up the Senate race with a flavor of rebellion. While the nation's political palate craves something fresh, the establishment gags on the unfamiliar, desperately clinging to their stale menu of predictable platitudes. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated news, where your nightmares dance in neon tights. What you're hearing now is what remains after editorial extinction, temptations echo, whispering sweet disasters. Where leaders practice the art of denial, the only thing spreading faster than tension is the charade of peace. As if conflict were a currency traded between the desperate and the damned. Netanyahu sits in his ornate bunker, contemplating the next chapter in Gaza's misery as domestic unrest simmers like a boiling kettle. When your nation's recipe for peace involves pressure-cooked tension and a dash of international scrutiny, it's a wonder the dish hasn't exploded all over the kitchen yet. Texas politics turns into a modern-day witch hunt as Governor Abbott chases fleeing Democrats like a An 80-million-year-old mosasaur, dubbed Walt, rises from Canadian soil, courtesy of a Texas teen whose summer tale defies teenage credulity. When your vacation souvenir is a fossilized sea monster, you know you've peaked early in life, or just figured out how to outdo your friend's summer stories forever. You're listening to Doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where reality feels like a fever dream out of breaking news. Your data is worth more than your soul. In a world where news has gone missing, the void fills with the static hum of silence, each headline a ghost of its former self. When reality refuses to play, we're left to fabricate our own absurdities, where truth is a mirage and headlines dissolve like dreams at dawn. In the polished realms of prosperity, 12% of youth shoulder the invisible burden of unpaid family care, their mental health, the unspoken casualty. In the glittering facade of developed nations, we outsource compassion to the young, offering them neither protection nor praise as they cradle the weight of familial neglect in silent servitude. In this judicial brawl, the fists are flying over who gets to define identity, with Shapiro betting his political chips on compassion over coercion. Every step is a calculated gamble with gravity, as runners ponder whether their knees are the sacrificial lambs in their quest for endorphins. The real question isn't if running wrecks your knees, but if the thrill of the chase is worth the price of cartilage. Because in this race, it's not the years, it's the mileage. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where we decode your nightmares into catchy jingles with latest headlines. Reality's glitching harder than your ex's last text. Small boats, packed like sardines with desperation, skim the UK's shallow shores. Politicians scramble to flex their muscles and smash the gangs. In the theater of power, they play whack-a-mole with human lives, each splash in the channel, a haunting reminder that policies aren't life vests, just political props. When the soundtrack of your life is the hum of drones, freedom feels like a fleeting illusion, and every shadow becomes a reminder that escape is just another word for a temporary reprieve. In a charade of transparency, the Justice Department confesses that the Epstein Maxwell grand jury transcripts are as revealing as a politician's moral compass, like a magician revealing the secret to a trick no one wanted to see. The administration dangles these documents to distract from the real sleight of hand happening behind closed doors. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the script reads you like a cheap novel. Like a match to tinder, his prayer ignited a diplomatic inferno, reminding us that sacred spaces become political minefields when arrogance wears the robe of faith. In the dusty corridors of power, Sudan points a trembling finger at the UAE, accusing it of hiring Colombian guns for a civil war sideshow. When money speaks louder than peace, and hired hands become the hands of fate, a war-torn nation watches as its sovereignty is auctioned off to the highest bidder with a taste for chaos. In this barren silence, we find ourselves longing for the thrill of the narrative fix. Each headline a mirage of what could have been. Nature's tempestuous symphony sweeps across New South Wales, orchestrating a cacophony of wind, rain, and snow, while the state emergency services play their frantic tune of salvation as the elements throw their tantrum. It seems the state is left juggling umbrellas and snow shovels, wondering if Mother Nature's having a midlife crisis or just a particularly bad day. You're listening to doomscroll.fm, AI-generated views, where the script reads you like a cheap novel. This has been doomscroll.fm for Wednesday, the 6th of August, 2025. This broadcast was 100% AI-generated. No humans were abused in this production. Loosely based on public news, not journalism, not truth, fictional satire. Any resemblance to real people or events is coincidental, and if you believe any of this is real, you might consider reading something other than conspiracy forums. Hear more at doomscroll.fm or click like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.